here I am shitting on Ubisoft. Again, the company that bragged about calling the police on its paying fucking customers. And they're like, yeah, we're so glad. We want them government grants. We want to suck the government cock. Granted, it was in UK. But I 100% believe that if game companies could just get paid to fuck with its consumers, well, any company would do this, but AAA Western companies in particular would do this and get paid to do this. They do it in a heartbeat, even though that's not the point of the fucking company. And so, because of that, right, and there's many of other things why I hate Ubisoft. The fact that it underutilizes good IPs. I think there's a Splinter Cell movie or TV show coming out that they're gonna butcher because it's going to Netflix, and Netflix cannot help itself but to butcher good IPs and good TV shows. So we'll see. But Ubisoft launches internal investigation, CEO claims. No woke agenda as Assassin's Creed Shadow gets delayed. So something that means absolutely nothing and a blatant fucking lie. Let's watch the video.
So I've got breaking news to share with every single one of you. This is the craziest thing to happen all week, maybe all month. In fact, it's the craziest thing to happen in the last year. And I know that Ubisoft has had a lot of crazy things happening behind the scenes, and much of it is really tough to keep up with because there is so much coming down the pipeline every single day. I mean, you've got European consumer agencies coming after Ubisoft. You've got the Japanese government asking questions about Ubisoft. You've got the Japanese people turning against Ubisoft. And not only that, but you also have the investors coming after Ubisoft, trying to oust the CEO, who is now doing everything that he possibly can to save face, which is something that I predicted could possibly happen if the delay rumors were to be true. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? The rumors were true. Assassin's Creed Shadows will now release February 14th, 2025. Valentine's Day, the holiday season, the day of love, and most notably, and I find this also to be extremely hilarious, Black History Month, which will be so horrifically bad for Ubisoft. This is basically them saying, we're going to release this Japanese setting game in which a real-life black samurai murders a bunch of Japanese people mercilessly during Black History Month on Valentine's Day to celebrate Yasuke's bisexual relationship options.
I think that's all just a coincidence, the second part. But again, AAA game getting pushed back yet again because they're probably again making yet another, reformation to the product, which is always a sign of a bad product if it gets pushed back further and further and further, right? That means, well, it could mean many things, right? But it primarily means they're doing everything. There are people and things inside the company that's doing everything in its power to fuck with development and the development process, rather it be the middle management or upper management making bad decisions, right? Like, they are doing everything in their power to fuck with the development process. And they pay money to hire these types of people. People who just fuck with game development. And I do believe it's also being pushed back just because, when most controversies happen, it's better to just sit the fuck back and wait it out. But people are absolutely having their thumb on the pulse of Assassin's Creed Shadow because you have this level of corporate stubbornness, which is almost childish at this point, right? But it's the sum cost fallacy. Like, they've already made the product, they're already developing the product, so they have to push it out. But it being released, well, it should be released on Juneteenth. If it was released on Juneteenth, well, I mean, granted, all holidays are made up, but that's a completely made up holiday. That would be something.
I mean, can you spell disaster in a funnier way than this? Ubisoft is a walking disaster, and it seems that their CEO is caught on to the backlash. But trust me, there is far more to go over here, and in fact, a story that is even bigger than this one right here. So we're gonna read the official post from Ubisoft. Dear players, Assassin's Creed Shadows is a dream project for us, finally bringing the series to feudal Japan with many features developed with our community in mind, such as parkour or the renewed stealth. What a silly thing to say. Parkour and stealth have been a staple of the Assassin's Creed franchise. It's not really something that you should be bringing back. It should already be there. But sure.
Yeah, it's the bare fucking minimum. Also, other games have had this. And this is what I mean. I say this almost in every single fucking video. Because you see it happen with many other companies. Like, it's not just Ubisoft, right? It's BioWare. It's fucking Sony. AAA game companies want to erase the past. They want to erase what came before. They believe, no, and from this point on, this is where it all begins, right? They're doing the bare minimum, be like, oh, well, it's renewed, it's coming back. It's like, no, we've had this, and you know this. It's just for some reason they have to speak this way. And again, it's, at least in Ubisoft in particular, it's like there's this odd American ideology that agrees literally everything that came from the past. There's absolutely nothing of value that has came from the past. Like, to quote Star Wars, we have to let the past die. And it's like, that's not how people act. That's not how people, like, in everyday life act. Like, we absolutely refer to the giants in which the shoulders were standing on when it comes to everything. But what they do is they stand on the shoulders of giants and they spit in the faces of the giants, and they're like, no, we can do better. And again, this is why Japan is getting into this, because Japan, like, the Japanese aren't stupid. Like, they see what's happening around the world. Like, people like to believe America is the only ones with the eagle eye in the sky with the happenings around the world. No, Japan's doing it, right? In the case of that Cleopatra Netflix, Egypt is doing it. Like, they see what the ideologies that's springing up, the corporate managerial class ideology that's springing up. And they're like, no, you keep that shit the fuck over there, homies. You keep that shit the fuck over there.
Okay, buddy, so brought by new technology, all set in a beautiful and immersive world. This is an ambitious project to the franchise, a rich experience that can be lived through the eyes of two unique protagonists, but we realize we need more time to polish and refine the experience. Oh, you think? Pushing further some of our key features. So they really can.
I don't care. This is all corporate speak, corporate gobbledygook. It's the idea of, again, toxic positivity. Like, you're not supposed to shit on the product, right? You're not supposed to, you need to be like, okay, this is a bad, and again, critiquing your art just ensures that the art itself is just in a better state than what it came before. But what we have is absolute garbage that's being touted as being next best fucking thing, the Mona Lisa of gaming. And what you have is situations like Star Wars Outlaws, right? Or what this game's going to be. Or games like Dragon Age Failguard. Like, you have just blatantly bad products. You have Concord, right? Blatantly bad fucking products that are touted as, oh no, this is a moral good. This is the best thing that to come out of the gaming industry, and nobody fucking plays them, right? But we realize we need more time to polish and refine the experience. Like you can't, you can only polish a turd so much. Actually, you can just keep polishing that turd. It's still a fucking turd.
Care about Assassin's Creed not bombing. And why do you suppose that is? Well, perhaps it's because their other games have underperformed beyond what they anticipated, and now they are trying to save face. They're saying, we're not going to release it now, we're going to release it later, we're going to polish all of the problems that gamers have been pointing out, which historically is a good thing. But it's what comes after that is really fascinating. As such, we've made the decision to postpone the release date to February 14th, 2025. The game will release on a broad range of platforms, including Steam at launch. Additionally, pre-orders will be refunded, and all future pre-orders will be granted the first expansion for free. Well, first off, the expansion should just be free automatically since it's already been developed and they have chosen to willfully separate it from the base game. I think that that's ridiculous. They should not be doing that. They should just sell the whole thing as a completed package and maybe at a much reduced price, because
I mean, because it's part of the, it's already part of the game, right? That's as we said earlier, including Steam. I heard from an insider that they effectively had to fucking beg Steam to have it released. They're like, please, for the love of God, let us release it on your platform at this point, because even Steam's had enough of their bullshit, right?
Ubisoft, you guys really don't know your customer base very well. Now, I do think that it's a smart decision to release it on Steam, and as you will find out later, they're going to start releasing games on Steam from this point forward because they realize how lucrative this strategic path will be for them. Or at least they seem to think so, but people on Steam are very receptive.
Well, they have their own launcher, right? And this is the cancer that has came out with most AAA games, is they have their own launchers. You need your own fucking account for those launchers, right? But people on PC are even more apt to Ubisoft's bullshit, and it's probably going to ask you to sign into their third-party account bullshit. But is releasing on Steam going to make the game any more popular? No. Maybe a little bit to just normies, but no. I think they're doing it because they're forced to, not entirely because they need to.
To what's been going on in gaming culture recently, and they have chosen their games very carefully, and Black Myth Wukong is a perfect example of this. So just because you release it on Steam doesn't mean that people are going to buy it. In fact, it could mean very bad news for Ubisoft if people start looking at the Steam charts and seeing just how many people are playing their games that they claimed in the past were doing solid numbers. Anyway, let's move on. They say that we understand this decision will come as disappointing news, especially to those who've been waiting patiently for an Assassin's Creed game inspired by feudal Japan, but we sincerely believe this is the best interest of the game and ultimately your experience as a player. Yes, now they care about players. If you have not noticed, they're not saying anything about diversity, equity, and inclusion in this post, and that is something that they have very heavily parroted over the past several years, and we'll dig into that as well. I also want to point out the additional pre-orders being refunded, and all future pre-orders will be granted the first expansion for free. So if you pre-ordered it, you get the expansion for free. So all players, again, should receive that expansion for free. Simply based on principle, simply because Ubisoft has put its fan base through the ringer, and they deserve some free content. But I do wonder how that's going to affect all of the people that did pre-order it and are seeing this news for the first time. I imagine.
Or how's that going to affect the game? Very little. I mean, like they've been on a rocky road for a long time with the consumer, and you see this across the board. Like now everyone's just lumping AAA American gaming companies, or I guess Ubisoft is French, but just AAA gaming companies in the same bag because they do the same things, they tout the same points. Like companies that should be competing with each other are just not. Like they're conforming. And when you see this, right, it's like, you know, when companies compete, that's their incentive to innovate and to improve and to come out with the best possible product. When they stop competing, the consumer loses because what you have is like PlayStation, right? Who wants to become the Apple of gaming because Xbox just stopped competing, and Phil Spencer's just been on a fucking pity party with it. Like, yeah, we're sorry. Oh, so it's like when it comes to consoles, PlayStation has just been blasting their ass, and because of that, they can release a $700 console with just slight improvements, and it doesn't even have a disc player because you'll own nothing and be happy. Right? This is what happens when companies stop competing, when they stop trying to give the consumer a better fucking product. You have these situations.
Imagine that not a lot of people are very happy to see it. But they do say, rest assured, we are looking forward to the moment you will embark on a memorable adventure with Naue and Yasuke. Yeah, me too, Ubisoft. Until then, we thank you for your ongoing support, which is virtually non-existent. And most of the people who are responding to this are just pushing back on everything that they are saying. I said right here, and there it is, because this is the official confirmation that they are delaying the game. And I'm so glad, by the way, that I was right about this, because so many people were saying, nah.
Just delay it forever. No one wants to play as a black dude killing Asians in feudal Japan. We see that enough in San Francisco. Oh my, oh my God! Fucking, fucking hype. Oh, holy shit! That's a huge delay. Directly competing with Ghosts of Yotai to 2025 window. Hope the game ends up good regardless. First Assassin's Creed delay since Unity. Yeah. I mean, I have my concessions with the Ghost of Yotai, but whatever. Although you're trying to wait until the heat dies down. Yeah.
They're not going to delay it. You're just making things up and running with a false story. But it turned out to indeed be the case. And Kangmin Lee said, just delay it forever. No one wants to play as a black dude killing Asians in feudal Japan. We see that enough in San Francisco. Ooh. By the way, that comment has about half of the attention and likes as the original post. I do wonder if this post will eventually overtake that one and Ubisoft gets ratioed on their announcement yet again. But as much as I would love digging into this silly little letter from Ubisoft, I would like to move on to the most important story of the day that connects all of these dots together. And this is from Insider Gaming. This came out today. Ubisoft's board is launching an investigation into the company. So Ubisoft is investigating itself now. They apparently see a lot of problems, and this may have quite a bit to do with the delay of Assassin's Creed Shadows. It's clear that Star Wars Outlaws caused the board of directors and this company as a whole to panic. And you're about to find out why. It has been announced that Ubisoft's executive committee and board of directors will launch an internal investigation and review of the company. The news came via a company financial statement and update, which we're going to take a look at because you guys have to see it. It's the craziest thing ever.
Yeah, again, my initial thing is nothing will come from it. Look, it's like when the IRS starts to investigate itself. It's like, so you're gonna investigate yourself and be like, oh well, there's nothing wrong. According to us, we are perfectly fine. Again, nowadays most CEOs in tech are just figureheads. They don't really make decisions. It's always the board of directors, which is a committee and or a group of people that vote people in, vote people out, vote on direct decisions in the companies. So again, I don't think this means anything. But that's just
included
me.
the delay of Assassin's Creed Shadows and the announcement that Star Wars Outlaws underperformed. Yeah, that is quite the understatement. So yeah, we're gonna take a huge look at this, but first I have to show you something very important that I feel
Yep,
has
there's
to be
Star.
included in this story. The Ubisoft Entertainment share value. Do you see this huge red line right here? This red candle that dips all the way to the very bottom? That is a 17% drop in value. I believe this happened in the middle of the night while people were sleeping, and what happened was after it dropped, people tried to bring it back up and it has plummeted yet again to almost the exact same spot that it was at before. This is exactly why I suggested that maybe when the board of directors saw this, they had a panic attack. They're like, everybody get in here, we're having a meeting ASAP. We have to delay this game, we gotta fix these issues, and we gotta assure people that we are not actually pushing an agenda. Oh wait, did you hear what I just said? They are saying that they're not going to push an agenda. Oh, I cannot wait to show you what they say in this press release for their financial quarterlies. You guys have to see this, man. It is insane. So I went to the actual website to take a look at this thing, and it was actually provided by John F. Trent of That Park Place. So big thanks to you for showing me this, and now I get to show it to my viewers. So big thumbs up for them. Make sure you guys subscribe to their channel. They just hit 20K, baby. So Ubisoft updates its financial targets for FY 2024 to 25. They had a meeting, ladies and gentlemen. Paris, September 25th. So that was today. Following a meeting of its board of directors, Ubisoft updates its financial targets for FY 2024-25. That's the fiscal year. The company now expects net bookings of around 1.95 billion and around break-even non-IFRS operating income and free cash flow. The company now targets fiscal year 24-25 to stand at around 350 to 370 million, so that number has been drastically reduced. The revised targets are mainly a reflection of decisions taken for Assassin's Creed Shadows and the, listen to this, softer than expected launch for Star Wars Outlaws. No kidding. Listening to players' feedback, which is something that Ubisoft never does, and as an illustration of our player-centric approach, the following important decisions relative to Assassin's Creed Shadows have been taken. Now here is the meat and potatoes that I've been dying to get you guys to. Check this out. Assassin's Creed Shadows will now be released on 14th February 2025, so there's the confirmation right there. While the game is feature complete, which means they finished it,
and I 100% believe it's going to be pushed back again. Like, I'm going to call it right now. It's either going to be pushed back again, or you're just going to get a buggy, broken product. Because so many things are going on that's hampering the product. As opposed, and coupled with the fact that nobody wants it, but they have to shove it out because they already started.
the learnings from the Star Wars Outlaws release led us to provide additional time to further polish the title. So they saw how horribly Star Wars Outlaws was performing financially, and they basically pooped their pants, rushed to call all of their department heads, and they said, you guys need to get in here. We got to talk about this because we're losing steam fast and our stocks are plummeting. They're just having a huge panic attack. I expect layoffs in the future, if I'm being completely honest with you all. But hey, I've been wrong before, not recently, but you know, I have been wrong before. Moving on, this will enable the biggest entry in the franchise to fully deliver on its ambition, notably by fulfilling the promise of our dual protagonist adventure that nobody asked for. Oh, sorry, that's just from me. With Naue and Yasuke bringing two very different gameplay styles. We are departing from the traditional season pass model, so they're doing away with season pass now. From this point forward, no more season pass. This is why so many people feel like Ubisoft is going down. This is why people...
Yeah, because season passes are like live services. Like, they cost more money, and the idea is you put money in and you expect an overwhelming like amount of money to come from it, right? But because they can barely even afford the product itself, why would they put even more money in to a product that they could, one, barely afford at all? Two, they know they're not going to get much out of it, so they're just doing away with it. Like, I mean, and I don't much care for season passes. Like, so many games do that. Like, that's like the new thing. Like, even Warframe does it. But I like Warframe, and I don't care, and you don't have to worry about it because you don't. It doesn't affect anything. But yeah, the whole season pass idea is just I mean, it's being used as a vehicle to just milk more fucking money out of people.
People think that they're panicking. Why? Behind the scenes, things are not as they seem. All players will be able to enjoy the game at the same time on February 14th, and those who pre-ordered the game will be granted the first expansion for free. So they're like, please, forgive our transgressions, forgive our DEI nonsense, forgive our butchering of Japanese history and culture. Forgive it all. We will give you a free expansion that should already be in the game. I'm telling you, and I have to show you guys a post that I made in jest. I was actually joking about this. I said, you're Ubisoft, it's November, Assassin's Creed Shadows isn't selling, your stocks are plummeting, your investors are trying to fire your CEO and sell your company, the internet has exposed your illegal discriminatory hiring practices, Japan
Got
has
him.
abandoned you, Europe is investigating your money schemes. You realize there's only one thing that can save you now. And I was joking saying that they were going to release a Tom Cruise The Last Samurai DLC as an apology for everything that they have done. And what's funny is that appears to be exactly what they are doing right here. They're saying, you guys will get a free expansion now, free DLC. I was kidding, but they actually did it because that's how incompetent these people are. The game will mark...
Yeah, and they have to give you something. I mean, this is just basic. It's like, okay, you've let your consumers down. The shareholders are throwing hands at you. It's like, what do you do? Well, you got to give them something for free, some cake on the platter, right? Before you throw the whole damn thing out. I mean, that's just basic. And I mean, they did they have an initiative where they like that specifically excluded men when it came to their hiring practices, right? They did so it's not a woman only because again, it's 2024 and you can identify with the 900 other identities, but it specifically excluded men. So they're like, oh, well, we're dropping the whole DEI bullshit. Like we know you're lying. We know what you're doing, and I mean you're stupid and lying, and you know you're doing this. Like it'd be one thing if you're just a dumbass CEO that just sits and laps up the dividends, right? But no, it's like you actively know these things are happening in your company, and again, I know you shut your ears to the consumer. You shut your ears to what people are actually saying about your product because this is what you're told to do, right? But really, you're just gonna lie some more? Like, come on, man.
The return of our new release on Steam day one. So they're putting this game on Steam, which means people are going to start looking at Steam charts to see just how little players there are for their new video games, including Star Wars Outlaws, if they put Star Wars Outlaws on Steam. I imagine if that is going to happen, we're going to hear about it pretty soon. But they say that additionally, despite solid ratings on Metacritic, they're referring to Star Wars Outlaws, and user scores across the first party and Epic stores that reflect an immersive and authentic Star Wars universe. Yeah, right. Star Wars Outlaws initial sales proved softer than expected. Now, of course, Ubisoft has to keep up positive appearances with the people that they're talking to in these meetings, which means that the numbers are very likely abysmal. And there were a lot of claims being made out there by Stuttering Craig about the pre-orders for Assassin's Creed Shadows and the pre-orders for Star Wars Outlaws and other people like him who had inside sources, and that all of these things were pointing to a financial flop on both of these video games, and it turns out that these things are actually true. I just love being vindicated on the claims that I make based on what I report on. It is such a great feeling because this is exactly the kind of thing that needs to be shared to video gamers across the world. They need to know what they are getting themselves into when they invest in games from Ubisoft.
Yeah, I love when shitty fucking companies, gaming companies that completely close their ears off to the consumer, but rather use ideology as a shield to defend their bad fucking decisions, right? Get their comeuppance. Like, again, it should be an Olympic sport to just shit on bad fucking products, right? Because this tells companies to do fucking better. And I'm just talking about games. I'm talking like any bad fucking product should just be Olympically shat on, right? And obviously, good products should be praised all to high heaven, should set the standard to products and games in the future, right?
the modern day. In response to player feedback, Ubisoft's development teams are currently fully mobilized to swiftly implement a series of updates to polish and improve the player experience in order to engage a large audience during the holiday season. To position Star Wars Outlaws as a strong long-term performer, which means that they are very worried that Assassin's Creed Shadows is not going to sell. And you can only imagine how bad that would be for their financials. In reality, they need this game not only to succeed on its own merits, but it also needs to make up for the losses of Star Wars Outlaws, which by all accounts that are being shown right here, it appears that game was not doing well enough to propel them into financial success. The game will be available on Steam on November 21st. So there you go. Star Wars Outlaws is going to be on Steam November 21st.
Yep.
I guarantee
I
you
have
that
to.
game is going to get so much more flack when people start to actually see those player numbers. I'm telling you, that's what people have been hoping for. Now we get to talk about the
You should make a Steam, if you do not have a computer, right? Make a Steam account on your phone specifically to shit on Star Wars Outlaws. You don't even have to fucking play the game. Just shit on the game. Be like, I don't have any games on this profile. I just made this specifically to shit on Star Wars Outlaws. That would be hype.
culprit himself, Yves Guillemot, co-founder and chief executive officer that the investors are trying to kick out of Ubisoft right now. They're trying to gain support from the other 70% of investors in the company to push this CEO out because they feel that there is mismanagement in the company. And from what I'm seeing here, that appears to be true. But he said, our second quarter performance fell short of our expectations. Oh, did it now? Prompting
really?
us to address this swiftly and firmly with an even greater focus on a player-centric, gameplay-first approach and an unwavering commitment to the long-term value of our brands. It's so funny that they say gameplay-first approach, and I will show you why in just a moment. But although the tangible benefits of the company's transformation are taking longer than anticipated to materialize, whatever that means, we keep on our strategy focusing on two key verticals. Now, you will notice that diversity, equity, and inclusion is not something that is listed in any part of this document. Open world adventures and GAAS native experiences with the objective to...
Again, they want to shut their fucking lips to it. They don't want to bring it up. They know it was a bad initiative. They knew it was just universally going to be used as a means to get ESG money or a means to throw it up as a shield to defend their shitty fucking products, because apparently the people on Twitter who are terminally online, all they have to do is see those couple of words, and they need to think nothing more. They will defend it, right? And then they know that, so yeah, they're going to be hush hush, close their lips to it.
Drive growth, recurrence, and robust free cash flow generation in our business. This is incredible. To me, this feels like a CEO having a panic attack and realizing that people are catching on to what they're doing behind the scenes with both this video game and their company, buying shares up at the bottom of the dip to amass total and complete control of the company so that nobody can argue against you for the foreseeable future. It is all starting to make sense now. But he goes on to say, in the light of recent challenges, we acknowledge the need for greater efficiency while delighting players. That's amazing. Why didn't you guys run with that from the get-go? But okay, as a result, beyond the first important short-term actions undertaken, the executive committee, under the supervision of the board of directors themselves, is launching a review aimed at further improving our execution, notably in this player-centric approach, and accelerating our strategic path towards a higher performing model to the benefit of our stakeholders and shareholders. stakeholders. Now, somebody mentioned earlier that it was very interesting that they put stakeholders first and shareholders after, and that is in alignment with what Ubisoft has prioritized all of this time. The stakeholders over the shareholders. They want to
Yep.
please their investors above all else. In fact, I see several contradictions in this story. But before we get to some of these contradictions, you have to see the dessert, the ice cream, the cherry on top of this entire thing, where the CEO's mask falls off and he admits exactly why all of this is happening. Firstly, let me address some of the polarized comments around Ubisoft lately. I wonder what he might be referring to. I want to reaffirm that we are an entertainment first company. Oh, are you? Creating games for the broadest possible audience. Oh, so now everyone's included? And our goal is not to push any specific agenda. Now that is crazy that he just says that. That is not the only time that this CEO
Yeah, we know it's bullshit, right? For what I just said, it's bullshit.
has told a bold-faced lie like this. This is just a slap in the face to everybody that has been looking into what Ubisoft is doing. He's gaslighting people in the middle of a meeting, saying that they're not trying to push any specific agenda. What has Ubisoft been doing all of these years? They've been saying we're pushing diversity, equity, and inclusion into everything. We're very dedicated to doing just that. We are so dedicated to that agenda that we have prioritized discriminatory hiring practices that are actually illegal, so that we can ensure that our departments are going to be full of these DEI pro people. This is absolute nonsense. He says we remain committed to creating games for fans and players that everyone can enjoy. And as I said before, did you see the words diversity, equity, and inclusion in this document? I think not. If you ask me, it appears that Ubisoft is afraid of addressing what people really have a problem with, the diversity, equity, and inclusion that has all but pushed their company into near financial ruin, etc., etc. And they say that they are to a gameplay-centric model and that they're not pushing an agenda. Well, that is fascinating to see them say that, because as per Rosary Warrior John F. Trent with That Park Place, Ubisoft CEO says company has no agenda. Ubisoft's website says otherwise. This stuff is way too easy to debunk. I'm telling you guys right now, because right here it says in this photo content, this is inside Ubisoft on their website, we will create gaming experiences that push representation forward by embedding diversity and inclusion across our processes, increasing representation in our teams, and offering access to resources that help teams to build more authentic, inclusive, and accessible gaming experiences. So not only do they push for diversity, equity, and inclusion all the time, they're literally embedding it into their framework itself and dumping tons of cash into programs that ensure that these people are in these departments, as I was saying just a minute ago. But that's not the only way we can debunk that ridiculous claim by the CEO that is tanking the Ubisoft stocks intentionally. So press F to doubt from Manga Lawyer, and he's responding to that claim as well. And this is, of course, on Ubisoft Montreal's website, the diversity of our LGBTQ plus characters through the eyes of their writers.
And again, you look at these characters, what the fuck is this? It's like, again, it's one thing to just lie. It's another to lie, be stupid, know you're lying and stupid. Like, you're not even smart enough to make it look like you don't understand. But then have literally the next thing that contradicts you be pointed out by
And that's
people.
from 2 years ago on their diversity and inclusion life at Ubi section. I'm telling you guys, they're a bunch of liars, and they're saying, no guys, we're not doing anything like that. We're not trying to release Assassin's Creed Shadows during Black History Month on Valentine's Day to celebrate a bisexual LGBTQ plus agenda. No way. That's just all one huge coincidence, and everyone should overlook it and pretend that it's not happening. But as
Well,
stated,
see, at first I thought it was a coincidence, but yeah, I can definitely see that happening. You know, yeah, I might renege my previous assertion. I can see that happening. I mean, it's a company where the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing. Like, the right hand's jerking off, while the left hand's in just a bunch of money. Like, again, I 100% believe this is to be the case.
before, people are reacting negatively to both the announcement of the delay, as they should, and to the announcement of the internal investigation. This is from Michael. One thing has become clear today, and that is Ubisoft is truly freaking out and concerned that Assassin's Creed Shadows won't be a hit. Moving out of the attractive holiday season for a February release really does say a lot. Outlaws underperforming must have really scared them, and that's why I think that this share value is doing so horribly. There's an additional post from him that I wanted to read too. Ubisoft says AC Shadows is releasing on Steam. That mostly negative rating feels like an inevitability with how divisive the game is. They also said they're canceling refunding all pre-orders due to the delay. They must be low, and all future ones get first expansion free. I think the puzzle pieces are finally starting to fit together, and people are starting to see the big picture. And that's why the word is being spread around so fast. That Park Place, Ubisoft admits Star Wars Outlaws sales softer than expected. Everybody was saying, no, this game is doing really well. It's gotten millions and millions of players. No. They said it's softer than expected, which is really just a very, very nice and safe way of saying it was a complete and total financial disaster, and it is ruining us, as it slashes net expected bookings by 30%. DISASTER. Even the mainstream media is running with this story too. They are internally panicking as well. Ubisoft admits Star Wars Outlaws underperformed. This is from IGN. Everybody knows what's going on.
Yeah, and again, you can't lie to people anymore. You can't hide it. Like, again, you could get away with being like, oh, it's just a few fringe trolls online. Granted, these trolls probably have hundreds of thousands of subscribers. The videos get hundreds of millions of views. But no, they're just a few trolls shitting. But now they can't even hide the flop that Star Wars. Like, again, they'll use the toxic positive terminology, but I know it's garbage. Star Wars was garbage. Assassin's Creed Shadows is going to be garbage, and no one can really hide it. Metacritic was a 70 across the first party, and Epic Stores 3.9 out of 5. That reflects an immersive, authentic style. Again, these are all just bullcrap critics. Like,
now they are talking about it. Rumor, Ubisoft's X-Defiant seeing continuously declining player numbers and lack of player spending. Now, all of those naysayers out there were saying that Ubisoft is making tons of money. All of what we're saying is completely false, and none of it can be proven true. But as time rolls on, these things end up proving themselves to be true without any assistance from us. We're just trying to talk to people about what's really going on, and for some reason, it upsets a bunch of psychopaths out there. But we have to take one more look at this stock chart, guys. Ubisoft Entertainment, all right, that 17% drop is absolutely insane. I have not seen a drop like that happen to this company in quite some time, and I imagine that the board of directors saw this and they had a panic attack. It's just amazing that they tried to bring this number back up. I wonder if the CEO bought into any of these shares also, but these numbers still went back down. All of that effort for nothing. And I remember seeing people saying that even though the number is really low, now they're going to begin their comeback and they're going to start going up and up and up in value. But every single day that passes, this number goes down and down and down. Like I've said in previous videos, every single time they try to buy the dip, it just plummets yet again. Then they buy the dip and it plummets again. It keeps going down no matter what people do. And what's funny is that press release for that document of how the earnings call went came out a few hours ago, and these numbers have not gone up since then. So what does that tell us about Ubisoft? To me, it says that Ubisoft is panicking. They feel that Assassin's Creed Shadows can only do well if it does not come out this year. They have to polish it because way too many people have been calling the game out for its poor performance issues, poorly executed gameplay, rough animations, stolen history, disrespected Japanese culture, using a broken Torii gate from World War II's Nagasaki.
Oh yeah, see, because I was like, is that true? Yeah, apparently they used a broken Torii gate. Hold on, is he going to talk about
bombing, the Japanese government, the European Commission?
Yeah, apparently they used a broken Torii gate, and there's only one in existence today, and it's to symbolize the atomic bombs the U.S. dropped on them during World War II. and they use that as like a symbol in the game. Like when I say there is a competency crisis going on, and not only Ubisoft but most AAA gaming entertainment companies, like people think I'm crazy, right? They'll say I'm wrong, but then you have the broken Tory Gate. You have a religious symbol that, under no circumstances, can be used in any game for any reason, being used again as a model in Assassin's Creed, right? You have this anti against everything in the past ideology that's being, and you have the DEI being thrown up as a shield. Like when I say there's a competency crisis above everything else, right? This is above everything he's saying. Like there are just blatantly incompetent people that just wants to leech off the company. There are consultants that just wants to leech off game companies in this industry. When people point this out, again, he has failed to address, like they fail to address these things. They fail to address these. And I think when you do that again, you cut your credibility into fractions for each thing you fail to address that the consumer has, the gamer has, people who buy your fucking product, people who plays games, but they're refusing to point these things out because they don't want to agree with, again, the people who play your fucking games, who buy your fucking products.
And their internal investor proxy war. It's just insanity. And this is why I said way back in the day, it must be rough being a Ubisoft employee, waking up to this crap and going into work every day knowing that this company is going down in flames. And that is all I've got for you guys in this video today. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you haven't had the chance to like it and share it with your friends, that would be awesome. And hey, if you're feeling ultra spicy, consider subscribing to my channel so that you're always up to date on what kind of thing I've got going on. I look forward to seeing you all in the next one. Later.
Yeah, it's a good video. And again, it's like, you try so hard to point this, and again, at this point, you're talking to just normal people about this because you're not going to get through with the Twitterites online. Like, they've already made their moral stance, and they stand against you, the consumer, right? So you're not going to get to them. Like, you have to get to, like, the normies, the people outside this, and be like, yeah, look what the fuck's happening. Right? We investigate ourselves and find ourselves innocent of all crimes. Exactly. This is what the fuck I'm talking about. Nothing's gonna come to it. No better time to release that than Black History Month. Again, I'd say Juneteenth would be an interesting time to release it. I feel like if it gets pushed back, that's absolutely when it's gonna be. Hope they go under. I want them to go under for a separate reason, but Ubisoft has good IPs that they're not going to get rid of. Like, these IP, and again, I'd rather the new IPs come out, but I mean, again, I want another Splinter Cell, or maybe another Rayman, or a Prince of Persia that's actually good, and not whatever goofy shit they released before. Free DLC, do you mean cut content from the main game and putting it into free DLC? Yeah, pretty much. Watch them finish investigating and find out nothing. I'm calling it, yeah, absolutely. Or they just pin it on the CEO, fire him, hire another shill, and they go back to doing the same bullshit. They're literally that mean, yeah. They don't have an agenda, just like when Bob Iger claims Disney doesn't have one. Again, it's odd. You're trying to say this to the normies, but even the normies are figuring this out. So, at this point, I wouldn't even say you're trying to convince yourself, because you know you're lying and you're stupid. Everyone else knows you're lying and you're stupid. So again, I'm trying to rationalize this, right? And again, the only explanation is again they've cut themselves off from the actual consumers, from the gamers, and they're just looking to their own ideological managerial class and just speaking to them. But even they know they're lying because they want these things. Instead of apologizing, they ran away from Tokyo and continued to gaslight. Exact behavior I expect from 200 liberal women. Yeah. I was accused of murder. I investigated myself and concluded, nah, I'm innocent. Yeah. Man, please, oopsie daisy. Yeah. And he's innocent. But yeah, I mean, that's all I gotta say about this. I will have my finger on the pulse of Ubisoft. And that's all I gotta say about this piece.